Should the United States of America declare war on North Korea? I think the answer is yes, because, to begin with, it would be the easiest fight ever for the United States. I don't believe that this is a comparable situation to the war in Iraq. The Taliban was and is a strict government for sure, as it's governed according to radical Islam. Because it's basically a theocracy, there is some approval from within Middle Eastern countries because the majority of the people are Muslims. This isn't the case with the people of North Korea. It's rational to think that these people can't wait to be rescued from the clutches of Kim Jong-un and the dictatorship that has poisoned North Korea for decades. Obviously, they can't say that kind of stuff out loud, or else they risk arrest and being put in prison for the rest of their lives. That only reinforces the view, though, that they await the overthrow of Kim Jong-un and anybody in Pyongyang who supports rule by dictatorship. Why would any citizen support a government that will sentence them to hard labor for the rest of their lives for something as menial as watching South Korean news? Many people will agree that Kim Jong-un needs to be stopped, but they don't support the idea of going to war. I say that there's no other way to stop Kim Jong-un. North Korea has been isolated for decades. This embargo they live under hasn't crippled the government enough that it would grant liberation to its citizens. It's not even right to call it an embargo unless we're talking about the United States. We've seen in the news over the last few months that North Korea's relations with China and Russia are very strong. President Trump was in the news when he had a meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, talking about how to handle North Korea's growing nuclear capabilities. American media is usually critical of President Trump, but it was repeated many times how essential China's cooperation is for any kind of peaceful disarmament of North Korea's weaponry to take place. It doesn't seem to be working, though. What isn't covered in the news very much, if at all, is the human rights abuse that takes place in North Korea every single day. When Kim Jong-un is covered in the news, the premise is that he might launch missiles at the United States and other countries. The fact that hundreds of thousands of North Koreans are sitting in prison camps for crimes like watching South Korean media or practicing Christianity are not even brought up. Officially, the position of the White House seems to be that they're only concerned with North Korea if they threaten us. The human rights abuse that their government commits doesn't bother them any more than the human rights violations of China or any other country. What's ethical has little to do with whatever the United States of America chooses to do in response to Kim Jong-un. So I very much doubt that any real effective action will take place to stop Kim Jong-un, because the United States has no real interest in removing Kim Jong-un from power because of the way North Koreans have been treated for decades. Russia and China certainly aren't interested in liberating North Koreans or their own people with democracy. So I doubt a real solution will ever take place. The way I see it, the only way that North Koreans would have a chance at real freedom is if Kim Jong-un were to attack the United States. I think America could easily declare war without any protest from other countries. Presumably, our army would crush the North Korean army, and this would be a relatively quick war. I assume that the United States would oversee the elections for a new North Korean government, similar to what was done with Iraq after the removal of Saddam Hussein. This government would likely adopt a constitution similar to ours, and then North Korea would prosper because it wouldn't have the kind of problems with insurgents that Iraq had after war was declared. So if the United States of America really wants to fix the problems that Kim Jong-un and the North Korean government are causing, they should portray any United States military action against North Korea as a human rights issue, because that's exactly what it is. Kim Jong-un is an evil dictator who needs to be stopped. Most countries will see this, and they would pressure Russia and China to let the United States run the show when it comes to removing Kim Jong-un. I can't see how China and Russia wouldn't see the potential in a free North Korea as an ally. And of course the people of North Korea would be pretty happy too. They deserve that because they've dealt with Kim Jong-un and the Kim Jong dynasty for far too long.